Hi, welcome. Um, my name is Brian Chavis. I'm the Chief IT Strategist for CIS. And if you're wondering who we are, these are some of our certifications, just add a little bit of credibility to the presentation. We're MSP Overwatch certified. That's very hard to get. We're very proud of that. We are champions with the National Cybersecurity Awareness Alliance, and we're a vetted tech stack technology provider. And you might wonder why we do this. This isn't a sales pitch. So we think that business people shouldn't just be scared into cybersecurity. We believe that the reason you should protect your business isn't about fear, it's about doing the right thing. You know, it's your duty to protect your company, your clients, your employees, and your business partners from the criminals trying to steal your critical assets, your information, your secrets, and most of all, your money. So it's the duty of service providers like us to get this message out and inform. And so with that in mind, I have a question. You don't have to answer. I'm going to answer it for you. What's the single biggest threat to companies today? Well, it's absolutely verified that the biggest threat are foreign actors. Nearly all the attacks on American businesses come from overseas. Who are these actors? They are people, businesses, and governments in foreign countries who are beyond our laws. Because they're beyond our laws, we can do very little about it except protect ourselves. Our companies, our partners, our clients, our employees, because some of the estimates of theft from our American economy is in billions of dollars annually. So now that we know the biggest threat, what is the single biggest point of weakness for every company? I'll let you think just for a minute, because you probably already know the answer. It's people. So, you know, sad as that is, the cyber criminals try to trick your people. Well, how do they do that? You know, they're very sophisticated and much more sophisticated than they used to be. So I'm going to got a slide here on evolution of hacking. So even a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, the hackers were lone wolves, you know, sitting in their parents' basement or something. Now it's a $1 billion well-supported business industry. They used to hack for glory, bragging rights, but now it's all about money. It used to be that a business could survive for days without computers, so it wasn't so big a deal if you were down. But now, and especially with everybody remote working and how fast our economy moves, it's very expensive to have any downtime at all. And it used to be back then that hacking required great skill. Now it requires no skill. In fact, you can go on the dark web, you can sign up yourself for a hacking application. You can buy lists of people's emails. You can buy passwords. And the whole thing is automated. You don't have to do anything. It'll automatically send out phishing emails. It'll automatically start, you know, hacking, brute force attacks. All of the things you're just doing by pressing buttons. So you don't have to be an expert anymore. So what did companies do wrong? Like, what are the commonalities of business cybercrime victims? First of all is training. You know, they didn't train their employees on cybersecurity awareness. This is really, really inexpensive and absolutely essential. The second thing is they had a poorly designed recovery plan. In other words, they couldn't get their data back immediately, or certainly not in enough time. So they probably had a backup without a point in recovery is what the way we call it. And the last thing is that they had no formal cybersecurity assessment or analysis by exterior professionals. These are very, very specific skills that people have. In fact, white hat hackers, you know, we like to call them. But just like in your accounting system, you have an outside auditor with, you know, special expertise. The same thing's true for cybersecurity. So here's the meat of the presentation, and I'm going to spend the most time on this. You're welcome to have this, email me. I'm happy to do an individual kind of deeper dive for you after we do this. But this is our cybersecurity pyramid. And if you do these things, you're in really, really good position. Now, this doesn't include all of the, policies, procedures, and HR and all those kinds of things. But as you get to the top of the pyramid, those become more important. So we start out down here with the bare minimum. Most companies do these things. Then we move up to some more things that you need to do, a little more advanced. And then you move beyond defensive. So these first two layers are defensive. You're protecting yourself. And then as you move up, you get more proactive. And then eventually you get more advanced, and then optimal is at the very top. So I'm going to run through the bare minimum. And again, I have a checklist for this if you want it to take to your organization. But the first thing's that offsite backup files, email, and your actual systems. And, most people do okay at that, but it's good to verify that you can get back if people steal your data. Force patching, you've got to make sure that your employees have to patch and update their machines. That's basic. MFA is multi-factor authentication, which is a fancy way of saying you need a second way to verify yourself when you log in, not just a password, but a text message you verify, some other step, 2 factors. You need 2 factors. And that is remarkable in terms of the defense that it helps you have. Everybody probably has firewalls, both hardware and software. What kind of firewall it is important, but most people have all that. VPNs have become very, very popular with the remote working. Those help, because then you know that your people are getting in securely. And in fact, using a VPN with multi-factor is really, really an excellent way to protect. Antivirus has been around forever. Most people have that, anti-malware, and then anti-spam. So those are the first things that you need to have and verify that you have them. I think you'll find that you have most of them. Next, we move up to the foundational. So then you get a little fancier here. You got advanced email security, which protects against things like spear phishing. And you've seen those emails. I actually have some examples where you get an email which looks like it's from your CEO, asking you to do something you shouldn't do, or click on a link that you shouldn't be clicking. So there are very inexpensive systems that you can buy, software apps that do that for you. EDR is a fancy word. It's pretty trendy now, endpoint detection and response, which is really antivirus level 2.0, I'll call it. It's a modern version. So antivirus will attempts to lock down a virus on your machine. EDR actually is a system-wide response. So not only does your machine get locked down, but the network actually protects itself from that discovery, which is really good because you isolate that person and that virus can't jump from that machine to encrypt files somewhere else. And also it will alert people on the outside that there's been a breach. So it's better than just the antivirus. DNS protection is a fancy word for controlling the links that your people can get to. If they click on a malicious link, a link from China, a link from Russia, you just don't let them go there. And again, that's fairly inexpensive. Password vault, a lot of people are starting to do this now. They resisted it for one. But a password vault, you may have one for your individual machine, but you can have one across your organization, and it gives you a lot of management things. You can delete passwords when people leave, all in one place. You can manage people updating the password, so it gives you a lot more control. Disk encryption is what it is, but a lot of people don't turn that on, and it's actually free with most operating systems and servers. Mobile device management, a lot of people are doing that now. That again helps not only protect your computers, your workstations inside the office, but it does the same for your mobile devices. And then cyber awareness training. This is like very inexpensive, and in fact, it's free. There are a lot of government resources where that's free. So you can send your people through the webinars that they have. They can even get certifications. They can get a certificate to print out at the end. So these first two layers here are defensive. If you have these, you can feel like you're starting to really harden your organization as best you can. So then we move up into a layer we call proactive. And that's where you're starting to do things on offense. So you're taking steps to be sure that you're going to the next level. So the first one is doing a network and security assessment. And that's where you have someone come in and really take a look at everything that you have, identify gaps, and give you a roadmap for how to improve that. Monitoring, that includes SaaS, is just a fancy word for cloud, like Salesforce, etc. Personal information. You can monitor your LAN and should be doing that. And also, you can also monitor your staff. Sometimes it's not very popular, but you can do that. Then you develop your internal cybersecurity policies, again, being proactive. And there are a lot of templates out there for doing that. It's you can set up a committee of different people in your company with objectives on developing those policies. Disaster recovery planning. As I said before, most of the companies that really get damaged by a cyber attack have not done this. So again, be proactive. Hey, if we have a disaster, what do we do? How bad are we hurt? How long are we down? And do that in the beginning before it happens. Now, the next one is a security operations center. Again, fairly inexpensive, but just like you have, let's say you have an alarm system on your house. And so when the bell goes off that something's going on. But most people connect to a home office so that they're alerted when you have a breach with procedures that says that they're going to call the police, whatever they're going to do, call you. But you can do the same thing for your network. So if something is detected by the software, it will alert a 24/7 security operations center, and they'll go through the procedures for you, alert you, shut it down, do whatever they need. They're experts sitting there every minute, every day. The last term is tough. Don't get too caught up on zero trust architecture. But what that means is that you are absolutely sure that any of your workstations or servers only have access to what they absolutely need to have access, and that all your people only have access to exactly what they need to have access to. A lot of people think they do that, but when you get down to it, they don't realize that somebody who's been with the company for 8 years might have access to something that really isn't appropriate today. So there you go. Then you're proactive. Now, the next things are steps that people take when they need to do compliance, when they need to prove to people, outside companies, that they're doing everything they can. And these, you absolutely need outside vendors. NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, is very, very common, especially in government contracting, or if you're in manufacturing, you have to go through a certification process there. There are many other certifications. They all have initials: CMMC, SOC 2, FISMA. So it depends on your organization and your industry, but you may have people who are demanding that you actually go through the procedures of an audit. Disaster recovery plan testing. Now down here, we did the plan, but up here we actually test it. And like over a weekend or a certain period, you actually go through the steps of having a breach. And then everybody who's involved, you've got, there's no reason to do a plan if you don't test it, right? So the next thing is a cyber risk assessment. And that I'll tell you about in the next slide. And then finally, it never makes sense to have outside, hackers who are under contract try to penetrate your network when you haven't done all these things at the bottom, because they're going to get through, you know, one way or another, they're going to get through. So once you've done all these things, you can have penetration testing done on a regular basis. In fact, there's some government research or systems software that you can get for free that will automatically, periodically penetrate your net, see if they can penetrate your network, and they'll send you a report by email of how it's going so you can react to it. And last is compliance as a service. Like I said, if you have to be compliant with some regulations, then you know you can do that one time, but obviously things change. So as things change, you need to have that done on a regular basis. So there are services out there that will continually make sure that you're in compliance. So I know that was a lot, but I'm happy to answer any questions. I mentioned the network survey and assessment. So this also is not very expensive, but we can come in, or other companies can come in, or you can have your own people. You do a network scan, and there are tools for this. The LAN WAN scan, so that goes across if you have multiple locations or people remote working. Your cloud applications to see whether those are vulnerable from the outside. The email phishing simulation, that's a lot of fun. And that's where we have systems that will actually send phishing emails to your people, trying to get them to click on bad links. It's a great way to train people. People start having a lot of fun with that because, you know, obviously getting caught is a little embarrassing. And then the dark web scan. I'm not going to talk about the dark web a whole lot, but you probably know that that's an area of the web that you can get to for buying anything that's illegal. And so the reason you scan that is because you can find out if your people, if their passwords are for sale on the dark web. That's really the biggest thing. And that, again, can be done very inexpensively. So I got through that pretty fast. So I don't know if you have any questions. The next steps you can do, we'll do this one-on-one with you and your team. We can do a network survey and assessment if you want us to, and do a little deeper dive. Again, we do this at low cost or no cost because we feel like it's, you know, kind of a civic duty for a company like us. And that's it. Thanks. So do you have any questions, Krista?
Hi, thank you. I didn't know I was the only one on here, but a really good information and presentation. But I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
No, thanks for that feedback. I really appreciate it. So if you need anything, or to, you know, I'll even give you this deck, or the pyramid, I think is a good way to, you know, share this across your organization. You know, it
Sure.
really does. What's that?
Yeah, I was going to say, if anything, it's really great intel, and I really love the pyramid because honestly, I know of all the different pieces, but seeing it in that visual was very helpful for me. But a number, you know, I work specifically with, you know, small to mid-sized government contractors. So this is very much part of our consistent conversation that we're having. So this is why I was, you know, intrigued in taking this and really seeing, you know, what is out there in the marketplace.
Yeah, we do that too, like the NIST compliance and all that.
Yeah.
And we have partners that do that. So we'd, you know, we'd be interested if I don't know if there's any kind of a way that we can help, or you could help us. So
Sure.
the pyramid is like the base level, right? Like
Mhm.
we wouldn't start a NIST compliance with a company that hasn't done at least the first 3 layers, right?
Right.
It's just, you know, there are too many gaps. It's like, it's scary to them, you know? So the
Very, very
pyramid
much.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, pyramid kind of gets people to a base level. and they
Mhm.
start feeling comfortable about it, and then moving forward isn't as so, trying, I guess is the way to put it.
Agree,
So,
agree. And I think where we see a lot of folks is now that you had CMMC come out and then you had 2.0 come out. I think, and obviously NIST has been around for, years. So I know that there's a baseline understanding of what they know that they need to be doing, or at least that they know they need to get to that point. So it's a matter of either engaging with people who know how to do it and get it set up for them, or just even going through the assessment process and knowing, what is it that they even need to do. So I know that there's some good starting points, and then I've met folks that are, completely through the process. And so I've seen them on all ends of the spectrum for that. But no, this is really great. And yeah, I'd love it if you don't mind sharing the deck. That would be great.
yeah, I will. And
Thank you.
are you in line to get certified for CMMC?
Myself, no, but as a bank, yes, we are going to be CMMC compliant.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be up in the air right now, but no one
Yeah,
knows where it's going.
yeah, we've met with a few folks about it. And I think some have the idea of, well, they're just going to figure it out eventually, but I'm just going to wait until like they finally figure it out. But we're already seeing, some of the larger contracts, you see it on there and it's built into the requirement. So so for us, the concern is down the road when everything is, completely installed and everyone is being expected to comply with this, our concerns are going to be from a banking perspective is if you are not compliant and you are on contract and you are dropped from that contract and you lose work because of the fact that you are not compliant, that is a receivable and collateral for us. So then it really then impacts your ability to repay your debt. So for us, it's going to be, one, the bank's going to be compliant, but for us, secondarily, knowing and being familiar with this process and what is required of the contractor themselves is going to be an impact from a financing perspective.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's why I
Yeah.
like this pyramid. It's like, you're gearing up for whatever compliance you need. And the other
Mhm.
thing is that people are getting pretty good at cross-mapping compliance. So if you actually went through NIST 171, you could probably get to CMMC in a hurry, right?
Agree.
Yeah. All right, it
Agree.
was nice talking to you.
You too.
All right, I'll send this over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Brian.
Bye.
Bye-bye.